Everybody, in that, I think debt amortization table was the one that was left. So we'll start from there, and then we will proceed ahead. So everyone, do you have this worksheet with you? Worksheet 4, 5, and 6? Yeah, I had emailed all three. Everybody has it? Students online, do you have the worksheet number 4?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So let's open 4 number worksheet and let's come to the last part of it, which is debt amortization table. And what we want to do here is we want to analyze the debt which is in the form, which is to be repaid in the form of a EMI, and over say 20 years. This is a loan of around 20 lakhs to be paid back in 20 years at a rate of 12% compounded monthly. So first thing we want to do is we want to find what will be the EMI, and the second is over the 240 months, we will be repaying the entire principal back. So out of the every EMI that we are paying, how much is principal and how much is interest? Correct. That bifurcation we need, because interest will go in my income statement as an expense. Principal repaid will go in my cash flow from financing activities, and ending loan will remain in the balance sheet. So next thing that we want to do is look at financial statements. Okay. So we'll have a quick revision of financial statements today, and after that we start making a model. Okay. So, but before we get on to the financial statement bit, this is the takeaway from the financial functions that we need. So, considering a loan of 20 lakhs for 20 years at a rate of 12% compounded monthly, can you find and tell me what will be the EMI? EMI equal monthly installment. So, what is the amount? Can you tell me? No, you can accept. We did this in the last class actually, how to find the EMI. Payments. Okay. Do whatever. Can you find and tell me what is the EMI? Everybody. Yeah, you can. You use whatever you want. But I think last class we did a function which easily helps us get to that. If you have forgotten, go to the first page and tell me the number in the yellow cell. I will keep it like this. Yeah. No. Correct. 22,022 is correct. Good. So there are some easy functions which have been created in Excel. Okay, that is why we did this entire worksheet. Okay. So how do we find EMI? What function will we use? PMT. Correct. So everybody, let's use PMT. PMT stands for payment. You remember we discussed that theory here last time and made this discussion sheet also to you. So let's do here on screen PMT, and the first thing it asks for is rate. So rate is going to be the rate per period, and period under consideration is 1 month. EMI stands for monthly installment. So whatever is the smallest period, that rate you have to provide. So the rate is going to be 12 by 12. That is for a month, the rate is going to be 1%. And then we have how many months? N per will now be for number of compounding periods under consideration. So we are looking at 20 years. So 20 into 12, that is 240 months. Okay. So it is the same annuity formula that you had talked about, but been coded into a function, so makes things easy for us to find numbers. And then PV. Today we are taking a loan of 20 lakhs. At the end of 240 months, the loan amount will become 0, and we are considering end of period here. So type also is 0. 22022. Everybody check the EMI amount, comes out to 22022. Okay, here are the inputs on screen. Students online, confirm once you have the numbers. Is equal to PMT and then bracket open. You have the same worksheet, right? Worksheet number 4, the one we are working in. So 22,022 is the monthly installment. Now, how many months are we going to pay this installment? कितने महीने के लिए हम ये installment भरेंगे? 20 into 12, 240 months. So total money that we are going to pay to the bank is going to be 52 lakhs. Correct? At 22,000 into 240 number of installments. And out of this 52 lakhs, how much is the loan? 20 lakhs. तो 20 लाख का आपका लोन है, लेकिन आप वापस कितना कर रहे हैं? 52 lakhs. So what is the difference? So the 32 lakh is the interest amount, and the 20 lakh is the principal being repaid. So when you generally have a very extended period loan, most of the times the interest amount is going to be higher than the principal. But 52 lakhs comprises of both. उसमें दोनों आ रहा है, प्रिंसिपल भी आ रहा है और इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट भी आ रहा है, which means 22,000 में दोनों आ रहा है. But the split is not the same. Every month there is going to be some component towards principal repayment and some component towards interest payment. Correct? And the amount of principal that is getting repaid, because of that the loan is going to reduce, or other way it's going to amortize. Okay, and that's what the debt amortization schedule tries to show. How is the loan reducing over period of time? That is what we want to find out. So let us make the schedule for 240 months. Starting with first month, you put month 1 as the month number, and below it you put the formula above cell plus 1. Like that we are going to create a number series of 240 months. 240 months का number series create करते हैं. Okay, and drag only the formula. That is second month को आप drag कीजिए 240 तक. Okay, drag it to the filled color. That will be 240 months. Okay. And now let's fill it up for each month, starting with the first month. Beginning loan is 20 lakhs. Build it with me. Don't fall behind. Let me know if you need any formula. First month started with outstanding loan of 20 lakhs. In this, you are going to pay a EMI of 22,000, and the EMI amount is not going to change. So we will fix it. Okay. Remember, the EMI is in bracket. That means it's a negative number. Already minus में है वो. वैसे ही रखते हैं. वैसे भी EMI is going to be paid. How much interest are we going to pay? This is a 1 month calculation. So you started the month with an outstanding balance of 20 lakhs. On that, you are going to pay interest at the rate of 12%. But 12% is annual, and it is not going to change. So put a dollar sign and divided it by 12. Rate has to be put up with a dollar sign. Now, this date schedule we will be making in a model. हमें लगेगा ये बाद में. तो एक बार हम example create कर लेते हैं, so you will be easily able to make it, because later we are going to make the statements, and then every line of the statement you create some analysis separately. So for that, this is the analysis that you can create. Okay, interest is 20,000. Okay, now how much is the ending amount? So you started the month with a loan of 20 lakhs. This is what you need to pay to the bank, plus 20,000 interest additionally you need to pay to the bank, minus the amount which you paid, which is EMI. But here EMI is already negative, so we'll add it back. Otherwise, the formula would have been opening balance plus interest minus installment. So loan now has become 19,97,000. Small component of it has got repaid. How much is the repaid amount? Opening balance minus closing balance. So 2022 got repaid and 20,000 went towards interest. That is how the total 22,022 was divided in the first one. This last interest is just a dummy number. Later we want to make a graph. Okay, students online, are you following? Month 1 we have analyzed already. Have you got the same? Okay, should we proceed? So second month starts where first month ends. Second month starts where first month ends. And then from EMI to interest, you select everything. एक साथ सारा select कर लीजिए आप. Then copy, Control C, and then paste it below in the month 2. And check the number for principal repaid should be 2042. Principal repaid का number match होना चाहिए. Okay, repaid principal is matching. Then only month number 2 you select from beginning loan to end to interest, and keep cursor on the right bottom corner. Cursor will turn into black color plus sign. Double click on it. All 240 months will be calculated. Yes. Now here is the button 1 and 2. You can see there. Just click on 1 so that last 2 months will be directly visible. First 2, last 2, everything else is hidden in between. First 2 and last 2, everything else is hidden in between. Okay. Loan amount at the end has become 0. Okay. Yes. As in, can we make a schedule like that you are saying? For say first 2 years, the rate is 2% or say 5%. Something like that you are saying? Yeah, you can. The only thing is in that case, yes, this interest has to be made as a separate column here. A column where you can vary the rate of interest, and as per the rate of interest, the EMI will accordingly adjust. Or you can adjust the length, but then if condition needs to be met. For floating rate of interest, you can, but you don't need that table because then you have to use the set format which Microsoft has provided. Whereas it is easy to build it logically. So you will see the application of this is in our model whenever you are making a model. A small schedule that we will make, which will be something similar, but the goal for us is to figure out what goes in income statement and what goes in balance, because that's what we are going to aim for. Okay, everybody, ending loan is becoming 0. Loan end में 0 हो गया क्या आपका? Correct. Done. So this is basically what we want to take away from the financial fund. Okay, should we proceed? Students online, have you got the numbers? Should we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, we will, we will, let's close this and open file number 5. Okay, so here we will discuss the brief statement theory. Yeah, yeah, give me a pen drive. I will give it to you in a pen drive. So, should I mail again? Uh, Everybody, do you have the file number 5 and 6 with you? 5 and 6 I had shared last time. If not, if you want, I can share it again. Here is my 5 and yeah, 3. Yeah, I had shared this 4, 5 and 6 in the 8 April mail. If you don't have it, everybody download file number 5 and 6. And we'll need both today. So 5 is more of a discussion and 6 is the model that we're going to make. So in the meantime that you're getting the files, let me get started with a quick revision of financial statements. Now, first we want to establish why we need the statement. Okay. So here is a explanation of it. Okay. The first part is the scheme. Okay. What is our goal when we are making a financial model? Why are we making a financial model? So if you recall, on day 2, we had done this example of gold. This person invested some amount and then got something back in return, and then we figured out whether it was a good investment or not. We were able to find that out by finding the IRR, which was estimated on the basis of cash flow. Okay. So here was a case where we tried to do some kind of financial analysis to decide if it is a good proposition or not such a good proposition. On day 3, we made a model, which was that franchisee case, where we said, okay, let's try to build a case where we are going to set up a car sales showroom. And then at the end, we figured out that, okay, the returns in the project looked good, and therefore it was a good decision. Again, the process followed was same. We estimated the cash flows and we found out the IRR. So this is what we want. Whenever we are analyzing any financial decision, you want to figure out what kind of return or value the decision is offering. And how do you estimate the return or the value associated with the decision? So you estimate that based on cash flow. But how do you get the cash flows? You get them from cash flow statement. You cannot make a cash flow statement directly. It's a reconciliation statement between the other two, balance sheet and income statement. Therefore, if I want to reach here, I need to start here. And if I create a template like this, given any investment decision, I should be able to do my own analysis and reach to a conclusion. Whether it is right or wrong, only time will tell that, because a lot of these things are going to be based on estimate. Okay. None of this calculation is going to have past data. You may use past data, but when I'm finding IRR, it is always on future expected cash flows. पैसा पहला वाला पैसा तो आके गया, अब उसका decision से direct कोई relation नहीं. You can use that to project what probably can be the future expected cash flows, and then take a decision today. Okay, but everything is primarily based on forecast, and what you need is estimate of cash flow, but you cannot get it directly, and therefore you start with your income statement and the balance. Okay. Now, given any business or given any investment idea, it is easy to estimate the income statement and balance sheet, because general common sense understanding and general business logic prevails while you are making income statement of it. For example, if I ask you to forecast the sales of an organization, you can still think about it. But if I directly ask you what will be the cash flow from operations for the first year, It's a difficult task because the cash flow from operation is a indirect calculation, not a direct estimate. Okay. So any case or every case that we are going to make from here on, okay, will follow the same scheme. Obviously, the details of the case increase as we go along. Now, while you are making statements like this, you might have some supporting statements in the form of debt schedule, revenue analysis, tax analysis, cost analysis. Those can act as supporting schedules primarily to build the statement. Once you have the cash flow statement, then you can estimate the cash flows from it. That means we will have to also define what do we mean by cash flows, and then on those cash flows we will find. Okay. So this is our background why we need to understand or revise statements. Now, when we are saying we will make income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow, means exactly which line items we should make. So this is a general summary of the statements that you can make. Okay. So whatever is the underlying business, whether it is an FMCG company or a metals and mining company, the line items of the statements don't change much. And if you have built the statement more or less, you have accounted for majority of the transactions which can have a material impact the values. So income statement is a flow statement, and we are going to make every model here onwards using statements. We are going to forecast financial statements, make the double entries, match our balance sheet, get the cash flow statement, and then do the values. So income statement is a flow statement measured over a period, 1 year, 1 month, 1 quarter. You make the income statement for. Comprises of sales from which COGS, cost of goods sold, gets subtracted to get gross profit. Cost of goods sold comprises of material, labor, overhead costs. Then operational expenses are removed to get EBITDA. Operational expenses comprise of selling, general, administration, marketing, research and development expenses. Depreciation is removed, interest is removed, tax is removed. Tax. Selling, general, administration, marketing, research and development. Sometimes, very rare, restructuring expenses in case there is a M&A or in case there is a spin-off. Which one? EBIT, DMA? Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. EBITDA is the first estimator of profits, okay, or you can say it's a good estimator of cash flow from operations of an organization. Kitna paisa actually business generate kar raha hai, okay, before the financing activity. After that, you will have the interest and tax going out of it, depreciation going out of it, to get the final profit, which is also called as net income. Okay. Now, sales can have another name in the form of revenue, turnover, but they all mean the same. Okay, alag-alag naam hai, but same line item is being referred to. Whenever you start the forecasting of sales, first statement that you will forecast is the income. Then comes the balance sheet. And we did something like this in the franchisee model also. We said at the start that you will buy the premises, that is lease the premises, you will pay the deposit, you will take a loan to pay the deposit. So all these transactions suggest that they are all the uses and sources of funds, which means they are balance sheet related information. So whenever I start a business, कुछ तो पैसा डालूंगा शुरुआत में, कहीं से तो लाऊंगा, which means source of fund we will have some idea about it, use of fund will have some idea about it. So you can imagine the balance sheet. Okay, you can again and again I'm coming back to the same point that you cannot imagine cash flow from operation कितना हो, क्योंकि उसका डायरेक्ट बिजनेस से रिलेशन नहीं है, वो सेकंड लेवल की एंट्री है. फर्स्ट लेवल की एंट्री क्या होगी? आप पैसा लाओगे कैपिटल, लोन से कुछ लोगे, जेब से कुछ डालोगे, डेट इक्विटी, उससे कुछ फिक्स्ड एसेट फैक्ट्री खरीदोगे, फिर फैक्ट्री चलाओगे, फिर आपको रेवेन्यू आएगा, कॉस्ट आएगा, प्रॉफिट आएगा, उस पर से कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेशन. ओके, however our goal is to figure out the cash flow. हमें इनकम स्टेटमेंट बैलेंस शीट में इतना इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, चाहिए क्या कैश फ्लो चाहिए, क्योंकि आईआरआर तो कैश फ्लो पे निकलने वाला है, बट यू कैन नॉट गेट द कैश फ्लोज डायरेक्टली. यस, yes, and no, you will be estimating both. First the setup cost, उसके लिए where is the money coming from, where is it going, that means you will build the balance sheet. Then you will operate the business. When you operate the business, what will you get? You will get sales, you will get cost, you will estimate those. and then what is left in form of cash with you will be the last parameter, which is what the cash flow from operations will give. So you will be estimating over the entire life of the business. ऐसा नहीं कि start का ही सिर्फ हमें estimate, हम पूरा life estimate करेंगे. But when you are estimating, when you are imagining, it is easier to imagine the balance sheet items and cash and income statement items, not the cash. So how do we get the cash flow items? So we'll see that using double entries. But before that, let us look at common line items of the balance sheet. What is balance sheet? It is cumulative or as on date statement showing the financial position of the business. So balance sheet and income statement have a perspective difference. बैलेंस शीट क्या बोलता है कि बिजनेस जब से शुरू हुआ तब से आज तक व्हाट्स द वैल्यू, whereas इनकम स्टेटमेंट बोल रहा है इस ईयर में कितना वैल्यू. therefore balance sheet is cumulative. For example, cash, when since the time when the business started till today, how much cash do you have, how much fixed assets do you have, how much current assets do you have. The examples of current assets are inventory and receivables. Fixed assets is property, plant, equipment. They are generally reported at historical cost in the balance sheet, which is called as gross. But the value of the asset goes down in the books as the asset is used due to wear and tear. That is what we classify as depreciation. So the net value of the asset will go back in my book as total asset. Then you have on the liability side, current liabilities, debt, equity, and retained profit. That should give you total liabilities and shareholders. Now, basic rule of accounting is asset should be same as liability plus equity. Liability and equity is source of fund, asset is use of fund. Sources and uses of funds has to be the same. Retained profit is also called as reserves and surplus. Example of current liabilities, accounts payable. All types of payable, account payable, salary payable, so on. Now, third in the order of forecasting is your cash flow statement. Now, like the income statement, cash flow statement is also period statement. It is measured, it is billed for 1 quarter, 1 year, 1 month. Starts with PAT, depreciation gets added back, changes in current asset and current liability are added or subtracted depending upon whether they are adding cash or subtracting cash. You get cash flow from operation. So cash flow from operation tries to reconcile how much money you are getting by operating the business. Okay, but you cannot start the business without putting a factory or without investing something in it. So cash flow from investing tries to figure that. Changes in fixed assets, that means how much property, plant, machinery we are purchasing. That outflow will be shown as cash flow from investing. And where is the money coming from? To fund it, either can be in the form of debt or it can be in the form of equity. So that is your financing. So cash flow statement has 3 primary cash flow activities: investing, operations, and financing. All put together will give you net impact on the cash, which when added to the opening balance, ending balance of the cash. This is what. Now, ending cash is not what we want from an IRR perspective. What do we need from an IRR perspective? We will see in a minute. But before that, how do you make this statement? So you will see income statement starts with sales and ends with PAT. Where the income statement ends, the cash flow statement starts. Cash flow statement starts with PAT and ends with cash. Where the cash flow ends, the balance sheet starts. Balance sheet starts with cash and then assets and liabilities match. So both sides of the balance sheet will tally. Okay. So that is how all the statements are looped into one another. Yeah. See, ideally, direct statement is preferred by regulator because it is having more transparency. But from the user perspective, direct statement is difficult to understand. Therefore, most of the annual reports will have cash flow shown in the indirect form. क्योंकि समझने में आसान है इन्वेस्टर. यूएस गैप में डायरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट कंपलसरी है. So as a company, I will have to report the direct cash flow statement compulsorily in my annual report. I can choose if I want to also disclose the indirect. So most of the companies there show the cash flow in both the methods. Because user के लिए आसान ही है indirect समझ. And goal of annual report is to make it easy for the investors to understand the financials. Then, so double entry is what makes the entire cash flow statement for us, and you will see that depreciation and PAT directly come from the income statement into the cash flow. So these are the two entries that go into the cash flow from the income statement. Depreciation and PAT also goes back in the balance sheet as retained profit and accumulated depreciation. Now income statement is a plus minus statement. So if PAT का double entry अगर हो गया तो पूरा ही income statement का double entry होने के बराबर है. Okay. You do depreciation का double entry because it is a non-cash charge. Okay. Then remaining items of the cash flow, if you look at changes in current asset, fixed asset, debt, and equity, all of them are coming from the balance sheet. सारे आपके balance sheet से cash flow में आ रहे हैं. That means origination entry is in the balance sheet. आपको हर लाइन आइटम के बारे में सोचना पड़ेगा बैलेंस शीट बनाते हुए. ओके. और उसका डबल एंट्री सिर्फ आपका कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में आएगा. लाइक करंट असेट इन द बैलेंस शीट comes back in the cash flow as change in current. Now remember there is a difference in perspective between balance sheet and cash flow. बैलेंस शीट बोल रहा है आज तक कितना करंट असेट है और कैश फ्लो बोल रहा है इस ईयर में कितना करंट असेट में चेंज हुआ. सिमिलरली करंट लायबिलिटी, फिक्स्ड असेट, ग्रॉस, debt, and equity, all these line items are coming from the balance sheet into the cash flow. This should give us the ending cash, which when you take back into the balance sheet, your balance sheet will back. So if your double entries are correct, only then your balance sheet balance. Okay. So the best part of this accounting process is that one, the statements help you imagine the materially impacting transactions in a business when you are thinking about it from a forecasting perspective. And second, the double entries ensure that you don't make significant mistakes, okay, while you are estimating the future cash. Or the double entry is a self-validating process. If your statements are fully forecasted and the balance sheet is balancing, that means almost perfect estimation you have been able to do it. Okay, so self-validation gets created in that. So this is what we would ideally want to make. Now, if you want to forecast cash flow for 10 years, make the statement for 10 years. Okay. Obviously, we are not going to make it for each year separately. We will be building it in Excel, so you can copy paste the formula. But how should we put the double entries? That we will try to see in notes. But before we go to notes, let us say, for example, we estimated the statements. अब statements तो estimate हो गए एक business के लिए. Let's imagine. अब क्यों किया आपने statements estimate? क्योंकि आपको तो IRR निकालना. From an investment decision making, what we want is valuation, either in the form of returns or in the form of value. NPV निकालो कि IRR निकालो. NPV means value, IRR is return. तो अब इसमें से क्या लें? How to estimate cash flows from the entire cash flow statement? So let us define that. So what is defined as cash flow, or when you did that example of the franchisee model, we ultimately zeroed in on one line. फाइनली पूरे बिजनेस को हमने एक लाइन में समअप किया था कैश फ्लो करके. तो ये कैश फ्लो नक्की है क्या? एंड एवरी टाइम आई कैन नॉट बी इंजीनियर. हर बार मैं सोचते थोड़ी बैठूं. हैज टू बी फॉर्मूला ड्रिवन. मेक इट अ प्रोसेस. So the formula for this cash flow is defined as free cash flow to equity. What is free cash flow to equity? Surplus cash that the business generates for equity, which means promoter. Free cash, ऐसा पैसा जो धंधे में चाहिए नहीं, धंधा चलाने के लिए या एक्सपांड करने के लिए नहीं चाहिए, जो सरप्लस छूट गया. Either you can distribute it in the form of dividends or you can reinvest. That is up to the management to decide. But what you don't need immediately for operating the business. How do you get the free cash flow to equity? So you start with the profits of the organization. In the profits, depreciation is subtracted, but depreciation is non-cash charge. तो पैसा तो आपके पास है, इसलिए depreciation उसमें ऐड करो. Profit plus depreciation is the actual cash. कितना पैसा आपके पास उतना. उसमें the problem with PAT or income statement is that if you have bought excess inventory in a given year, वो इनकम स्टेटमेंट में कहीं दिखता ही नहीं कि आपने इन्वेंट्री ज्यादा खरीद ली. इनकम स्टेटमेंट क्या बोलता है? मैचिंग प्रिंसिपल. कितना सामान आपने बेचा उसका खर्चा दिखाओ. अगर आपने प्रोड्यूस डबल किया है तो नहीं, सामान इन्वेंट्री में पड़ा है, पैसा अटक गया है, लॉस हैज नॉट हैपेंड, You might sell the inventory next year, you might recover your money, maybe more than what you bought it at. So your money has got blocked in inventory, is not shown anywhere in the income, which means whatever is the working capital item, has the working capital gone up, has the working capital gone down? What is working capital? Business चलाने के लिए जो पैसा लगता है वो, अब वो ज्यादा आपको लगा है कि कम आपको लगा है इस किसी ईयर में, उतना कैश या तो एब्जॉर्ब हो गया या लिबरेट हो गया, so that you have to account for. Okay, when you are saying के फ्री कैश सरप्लस कितना छूट गया, तो जो प्रॉफिट अपने पास है वो प्लस डेप्रिसिएशन और वर्किंग कैपिटल में जो एडिशनल पैसे लगे वो निकाल दो. So we are adding or subtracting depending upon what is the term. So at this level what has happened is PAT plus depreciation plus working capital change, इतने पे हमारे पास वो सरप्लस आ गया है जो ऑपरेशंस से बाहर है. Whatever money the business is generating, excess of what it needs to run the operation. But अगले साल आप expand करोगे, you might increase the business, you might buy a new factory, expand your current factory, तो capital expenditure होगा. अब उसका पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? कुछ आएगा आपके जेब से, कुछ आएगा लोन से. तो जो जेब से आएगा वो सब्ट्रैक्ट करोगे. So how much money is going to come from your pocket for the capital expenses? Capital expense minus debt. But that is to be removed from your surplus cash. So you are doing minus capital plus debt. Okay. तो ये पार्ट आपका एक्सपेंशन का है और ये पार्ट आपका ऑपरेशन का है. What is left is the FC, free cash flow to free. So you can further make this formula a little shortened. Working capital is current asset minus current liability. So instead of change in working capital, you put change in current asset, change in current liability. So the formula would be like this: PAT depreciation, change in current asset, current liability, minus capex plus debt. If you go to the FSA, post 4 items: PAT depreciation, change in current asset and current liability, nothing but CFO. तो ये 4 आइटम लिखने के जगह CFO लिख दो. Minus capital expense. Capital expense is also called as purchase of fixed asset, also known as change in fixed asset gross. The change in fixed asset gross is nothing but cash flow from investment. So the formula is revised to CFO plus CFI plus change in. So when you estimate the financial statement, what is it that you need from those statements? You need these three: CFO, CFI, change in. 10 साल का स्टेटमेंट आप फोरकास्ट करो, 10 साल के कैश फ्लो में से ये 3 लाइन आइटम को ऐड करो, 10 साल का कैश फ्लो एस्टिमेट मिल जाएगा, उसका IRR निकाल लो या एनपीवी निकाल, एंड देन यू डिसाइड what based on the IRR or NPV value whether it is a good investment. Not such a. That's all. So this is how the entire process is summed up in the simple block diagram as shown, and what to do in the block diagram, that is written down here. What do we want from it, that is written down here. Now let's look at how do we actually create the double entries in Excel, and then we will use this 5 number file for all the models here on. Okay, ये basic reference theory है आपके लिए, ये use करो हर बार. So now you need to put the formula here. So come to the page note. इसमें एक बार फॉर्मूले डाल देते हैं तो आपको जब बैलेंस शीट बना रहे होंगे तो इतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगा. What is asset? Future income generating resource. From a cash perspective, it is also called as use of cash. Liability, source of cash. What the business owes. Here I have given data of first and second year income statement few items, balance sheet few items, and cash flow few items. Purpose here is to understand how these arrows play out. Arrow दिखाया मैंने यहाँ, depreciation यहाँ से उठा के यहाँ डाल, direct entry. But when depreciation goes from income statement to balance sheet, it is not going in the same name. नाम ही बदल गया. क्यों बदल गया? क्योंकि perspective में difference. Balance sheet क्या है? Cumulative. आज तक कितना depreciation हुआ, और income statement बोल रहा है इस year में कितना depreciation हुआ. So if you come to year 1, you want to build the formula for accumulated depreciation. Line diagram में we have shown के income statement से depreciation balance sheet में आएगा. अभी first year में depreciation कितना हुआ है? Income statement is showing 150, but balance sheet is showing आज तक depreciation कितना हुआ. So how do we make cumulative entry in Excel? पिछले साल तक जितना था plus इस साल में जितना depreciation add हुआ. Everybody put that formula in the note. In accumulated depreciation. and then copy the formula to the year 2, and then we will discuss the second year number. Here is the formula open for reference. Okay. So second year में what it is showing कि second year तक 325 का depreciation charge हुआ है, लेकिन second year में 175 का depreciation has been done. So this is how cumulative entries need to be made. Anything that goes into the balance sheet will always go in the same form. Similarly, retained profit. आज तक कितना profit retain किया? पिछले साल तक जितना किया था वो plus current year का PAT. If there is a dividend that the company gives, that will get subtracted. Retained profit is what? Profit minus dividend paid. अगर आपने कोई dividend दिया है, तो उसके बाद जो बचा amount है वो retained profit. अगर आपने zero dividend दिया है तो 100% profit will be paid. Okay. So fixed asset and debt we will imagine, as we said, business शुरू कर रहे हैं तो आपको फैक्ट्री डालना है तो कितना पैसा चाहिए उतना फिक्स्ड असेट बनेगा, उसके लिए कितना लोन ले रहे हैं वो डेट बनेगा, जेब से कितना डाल रहे हैं वो इक्विटी बनेगा. But other items in the balance sheet might get made by double entry from the income as shown. Okay, everybody have made the entries for the balance sheet. Okay. So now we understand how do entries come into the balance sheet. Let us look at how an entry goes out of the balance sheet into the cash. Cash flow में entry कैसे जाती है वो भी देख लेते हैं. So year 1, what we want, I have taken one asset and one liability line item in the cash flow statement. एक asset line item में हम formula define कर लेंगे, आप सारे assets के लिए वही use करोगे. Same for one liability line. Change in fixed asset gross. First year में cash flow पे कितना impact हुआ due to changes in gross fixed asset. That is what cash flow is asking. So we go back to the balance sheet and we see that how much has the fixed asset changed. 0 से 500 हो गए, मतलब 500 रुपए का एसेट आपने खरीदा, तो पैसे आए कि गए? गए. So the cash flow ideally has to show minus 500. So how will we show minus? First of all, look at the name of the line item. It is change. Change मतलब difference लेना पड़ेगा. So you take a difference as last year's asset minus current year. तो वो साइन अपने आप आ जाएगा. So it will automatically show minus 500. D13, yeah, last year's plus PAT. Okay, and change in fixed asset gross is last year's fixed asset minus current year. So whenever you have asset, the rule is old value of asset minus new value of asset. So when I copy it to the next year, cash flow is showing plus 50, which means asset आपने 50 रुपए का बेच दिया. That is also what balance sheet is showing. पहले आपके पास 500 के asset थे, आप 450 के. Means 50 rupees का asset you have sold. Remember we are looking at gross assets, which are reported at historical cost. So इसमें depreciation consider नहीं हो रहा. हाँ, so when an asset decreases, what is the impact on cash? पैसा आया कि गया? Increases. So plus cash flow statement has only botheration of cash. So you are looking at everything from a perspective of cash. What is the impact of change in item on cash in the books? Now, so this is how you will treat asset, whether it is current asset, inventory, account receivable, or your fixed asset. The rule is same. Old minus new. पिछले साल का fixed asset minus इस साल. Let us look at debt. First our debt was 0. Now it has become 300. So we took a loan of 300. We took a loan of 300 means money came in. ऐसा आया. So now the rule is current year's debt minus last year's debt. Formula for liability is ulta. New liability minus old liability. Whether it is debt, equity, current liability, any item, the rule will still be same. Current year's debt minus last year. Next year, see what has happened. आपने 25 रुपये का लोन वापस कर दिया है. लोन हैज गॉन डाउन फ्रॉम 300 to 275 इन द बैलेंस शीट. दैट मीन्स 25 रुपये आपके गए. ओके. तो एसेट के लिए रूल इज ओल्ड माइनस न्यू, लायबिलिटी के रूल के लिए रूल इज न्यू माइनस ओल्ड. So if you keep these things in mind, then you will be able to easily match the balance sheet, which is going to be our agenda. Next session. Okay. Okay. So the theory is done. This is something that we'll fall back on every time where we are making a model. Let's make some models. So let's take a break for 5 minutes, and then post the break. Everybody see to it that you have file number 6. 6 number file आज करेंगे शुरू, and then let's see. Let's take a break here. Okay, online students have been able to complete it till here. The line diagram.
Yes, sir.
Okay, done. So let's take a break here and then let's continue after 5. Okay, should we continue? So let's open case number 6. Okay. And here is the model that we want to build. We'll do it the same way as we did last time. Okay, I will explain the entire model, and step by step we will go and build the entire case. Okay. The only difference is as compared to last time where we tried to keep the analysis a little rough. Here we are going to follow our scheme that we discussed just now. We are going to take the investment decision by forecasting the statement, making any supporting statements required, estimating the FCFE, and then building the IRR. So here, what is the case? The case is for us to evaluate a business opportunity to set up a tour operators activity. Let us say we want to start a tour operators business. Is it a profitable business proposition? That is our problem. Now I'll run you through all the assumptions, but before that, let's look at the model template. We are evaluating the business from a 4-year perspective. We will forecast the income statement for 4 years, then the balance sheet for 4 years. Using the two, we'll make the cash flow for 4 years. Then from the cash flow statement, we will estimate the FCFE, and then from the FCFE, you will find the decision parameter NPV or IRR, and then we will take a decision whether it's a good investment or not. Now, first thing everybody is to come to row number 79 and delete all those zeros. Select all those zeros and delete it. So we will apply the appropriate formula there after we are done with the balancing of balance sheet. Okay. Balance sheet के balancing के बाद we will need it. So delete all the, this entire thing from D79 to H83. Okay, blank out. Now, also we will be making supporting statements like debt schedule. Sometime back we made that entire amortization schedule. So something similar you will have to recreate here, okay, to analyze the debt. But let's run through the assumptions first, and then we will try to build the statement step by step. Okay, so here is the entire case. Let me explain what is the case about and or what are the assumptions, and then we'll go about making the entire model. So our goal here is to evaluate a tour operator's business. We are saying that we will start a premium bus service between 2 cities by acquiring a bus as an asset. And then is it a profitable proposition or is it a worth pursuing investment idea? That is what we want to figure out. So first thing that you will have to do in order to start a business like this is buy up. 75 lakhs is the cost of acquisition for the bus, which will be funded as 75 debt, 25 equity. Debt will be paid back in 4 years. Interest charge is 10%, and it will be repaid in 4 equal annual installments paid at the end of every year. Okay. So sometime back we did that EMI schedule. In here you will have to do EAI schedule. Instead of monthly, we are looking at annual installment. Now, once you have the bus, so uses of funds for the business and sources is the first thing that we start the discussion. Every time when you start a business, it will be like that only. पहले आपको setup करना पड़ेगा. Now, whether it is acquiring a bus or building a factory or whatever it is, okay. So some idea about the balance sheet line items automatically gets. Okay. Now you will be using this bus. Now we'll look at operations. Okay. ये क्या हो गया? Investing part हो गया. Setup कर दिया आपने. आपका operations क्या है? You will run the bus between a route like Mumbai and Pune. The distance is 155 kilometers. Average travel time is around 3 hours, and you are going to make 4 trips in a day. Now, what is definition of a trip? Going from city A to city B is to be considered as one trip. So, in a day, you are making 4 such trips. That means 2 round trips. Okay, and every time you are making a trip, you will be charging your customer for a ticket. So the ticket rate is for one trip, one seat. Okay. That means traversing from A to B or B to A. Customer will be paying you 500 rupees per ticket. Total sitting capacity of the bus is 35. We are considering an occupancy rate or load factor of 50. So 100% occupancy will be probably happening in the peak season, 10-15% in the off season. So on an average, we are saying that throughout the year, our average occupancy rate will be around 50%. 50% passenger पैसे देंगे every trip में. Now this ticket rate or the tariff will escalate or inflate or increase. Escalation is another way of saying inflation at a rate of 10%, but applicable from year 2 on. All escalation and inflation should be modeled from second year on. 10% से आपका tariff rate बढ़ेगा and you will operate the bus for entire 365 days of the year. पूरे साल भर आपका बस ऑपरेट होता रहेगा, 4 ट्रिप एवरी डे करता है. Okay. So this gives you some idea about the revenue parameters, okay, what you are going to earn by operating the business. Then, what are my costs? So first and foremost expense is going to be fuel. Bus fuel economy is 3.5 km per liter and the price of diesel is 95 per liter. We are considering diesel will increase at 15%. General inflation 10% है, diesel का हम 5% extra, 15% से महंगा होगा diesel, ये consider करें. Apart from fuel, you will have driver, miscellaneous and toll amount given at a per trip level. Driver and miscellaneous are going to increase. Driver miscellaneous cost will inflate at a rate of 10%, whereas toll generally changes over a period of 5 to 10 years. So toll we will consider is going to remain constant during the time we are operating this business. 1000 rupees per trip. Toll change nahi hoga second year onwards. Miscellaneous or driver cost will increase. You can hover over that cell and that red option will show the comment shown there, which is inflation year on year. Again, inflation to be applied from year 2. So these are my direct operating expenses. Apart from that, I will have to maintain the bus. Bus maintenance cost will be 10% of cost of bus for the first year. And as the bus ages, my maintenance expenses are also going to increase. So we are saying that escalation in maintenance is going to be 50. 15% से हमारा maintenance expense year on year बढ़ते जाएगा as the bus keeps on aging. Bus will depreciate in 4 years at a rate of 25% straight line method to a scrap value 0. So below, everybody here, you put down scrap value. And there you put 0. It will show percent by default, change it to number. Scrap value of the bus is nil. And then there is, after paying all these expenses, if you are profitable, you will be paying tax at the rate of 33%. If you have any surplus cash, you will reinvest it and generate an interest income at the rate of 5%. That is all with the assumptions. Okay, so ये सारे आपके business related assumptions हैं. Now, using all these assumptions, you want to figure out, is the business generating better return than what I am expecting on my equity? 15% is my cost of equity. If I don't put my money here, but put it somewhere else, I am generating a return of 15%. Is it better to invest in this business? That remains the problem. तो प्रोजेक्ट का IRR 15% से ज्यादा है क्या, ये हमें निकालना है. So how are we going to approach? So as we said earlier, we are going to follow the statement method. So scroll down, everyone. First thing you want to do is make the income statement. Now, before you start, I have blanked out certain line items like other income is not colored and interest expense is also not. So अभी आपको वो blank ही रखना, अभी आपको estimate नहीं करना. Now interest expense we will analyze in debt schedule, or second in line we will make the debt schedule on the right. तो जब हम debt schedule बनाएंगे तो interest expense उसमें अपने आप ही estimate हो जाएगा. ठीक है. So therefore interest expense we are not going to make right now. Other income is generated on surplus cash. जो भी बिजनेस में सरप्लस कैश है वो हम बाद में एफडी में डालेंगे, दैट्स हाउ वी विल इमेजिन इट। बट कैश कितना है ये कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट बताएगा, और कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट इज द थर्ड इन लाइन। तीसरा चीज जो फोरकास्ट होगा वो कैश फ्लो है, उसके बाद हम अदर इनकम निकाल पाएंगे। So right now you will keep other income and interest expense blank. Barring the two, you will fill the entire income statement. Zero year is only denoting starting point of year one, so it is not actual year in which time is accrued. So zero year में income statement बनेगा नहीं, लेकिन बस आप start of the first year खरीदेंगे इसलिए balance sheet बनेगा, cash flow भी accordingly बनेगा क्योंकि cash transaction हो रहा है, but income statement will become blank. All numbers you estimate for year one will escalate from second year onwards. इन्फ्लेशन जो है वो सेकेंड ईयर से अप्लाई करना है, तो कौन सा आइटम किस रेट से एस्केलेट हो रहा है वो राइट हैंड साइड में भी दिया हुआ है। ओके, so look at the item there and from the assumption sheet on top you will be able to get the number. Now second year formula you don't complicate. For example, second year का formula for sales will be revenue is expected to grow by 10% because seating capacity, load factor, number of trips, number of working days, वो कुछ भी चेंज नहीं हो रहा है एक्सेप्ट टैरिफ। अगर टैरिफ 10% से बढ़ रहा है तो रेवेन्यू 10% से बढ़ेगा। तो फर्स्ट ईयर you might put a formula by linking 3, 4, 5 cells, but second year you don't complicate the formula. Keep the formula simple as I am showing on the screen and use the same logic for every other line item. Okay, with that instruction, I'm going to show the formula. Just I will highlight the cells which you complete and tell me the answers so that we can. I am just coloring them as shown so that you can tell me these answers. Fill the entire income statement, use cell referencing, do not hard code any number, use dollar sign wherever required, and forecast the income. Make an attempt, read the assumptions once, और आप इनकम स्टेटमेंट बनाइए, और ग्रीन सेल्स जो मैंने दिखाया है उसमें क्या आंसर आपको आ रहा है एक बार मुझे so that I'll be able to guide you if you are on the correct track. Make an attempt, everyone. Starting with sales for year one, कितना है? And here's the formula for year two, which you use for all the items. फर्स्ट ईयर में आपको 4-5 सेल मल्टीप्लाई करके आंसर आएगा। सेकेंड ईयर का फॉर्मूला कॉम्प्लिकेट मत कीजिए, just build the formula as shown. Okay, make an attempt, everyone. Step by step, we will complete the model. Sorry? Yeah, take your time, take your time. There's no hurry now. Yes, given. Correct. Revenue for year one. How much are you getting? Okay. First and last year revenue. Students online. Tell me the answer. Correct. Good. 1 crore 27 lakhs is correct. 70 lakhs is correct. Good. Proceed ahead. Tell me the fuel cost for year one and start. Use referencing 58. कुछ गड़बड़ है, लाखों में जाएगा। कुछ गड़बड़ हो रही है। रेवेन्यू कितना आ रहा है रेवेन्यू फर्स्ट कैलकुलेट रेवेन्यू करेक्ट फर्स्ट ईयर लास्ट ईयर 90 समथिंग ओके हाँ डीजल रेट इज इंक्रीजिंग बाय 15%, दैट्स ऑल, डोंट कंसिडर इन्फ्लेशन, दोनों नहीं लेना, हाँ इन्फ्लेशन प्लस 5% ऐसा करके डीजल का एस्केलेशन रेट दिया है। ओके टेक योर टाइम। नहीं only the diesel rate is increasing, number of trips is not changing, 15%, so it's not that 10 और 15 दोनों नहीं लेना है आपको, सिर्फ 15 लेना है। डीजल प्राइस एस्केलेट्स एट 15%, हाँ तो सेम सेम प्रॉब्लम सेकंड ईयर के लिए, next year amount of diesel is not going to change, हाँ only the price of diesel will change, therefore total expense will change by that number, correct। Diesel fuel cost for year 1 is how much? It was 61 no for first year, करेक्ट, तो उसका 15% 9 लाख तो उधर ही बढ़ जाएगा। करेक्ट 93 lakhs, correct, good, proceed ahead, student online, any answers you got out of the green cells? cost purchase acquisition price of the bus उसका 10%, which is 75 lakhs का 10%. नहीं, only one. 61 lakhs and something. Correct. So here we will do sales on screen. I am also going to put numbers. So we start with number of seats that we have, but not everything is getting paid. So 50% of 35 is what we are getting paid every trip. Okay. So how much money customer is giving? 500 for per. So my per trip revenue is 8,750. Number of seats into percentage occupied into per seat tariff. But in a day, I am making 4 trips. So my daily revenue comes out to 35,000 into number of trips. But we are not making a daily model here. We are making annual calculation. So multiplied by 365 days to get the annual sale. Becomes 1 crore 27 lakhs. It's the formula on screen for reference. That is for sales no, driver and miscellaneous is increasing at inflation. Only toll will remain fast. Okay? Sales आ गया सबको. Let me also show fuel expenses and then you try to complete the model till P80. Hey, year 0 is only denoting opening balance of year 1. There is no year as such. Why do you want year 0 then? Because some transaction might happen at the start of the year, which will affect your balance sheet. So, fuel expenses, let's do it on screen. Now we are looking at 3.5 kilometers per liter as the fuel economy of the bus. So the bus consumes 1 liter diesel and goes 3.5 kilometers. How much distance we have to cover in a trip? That is 155 kilometers. तो इतना किलोमीटर जाने के लिए कितना डीजल लगेगा? That is 44 liters. You will get that as 155 kilometers divided by the fuel economy 3.5. That is the bus, the length it travels for every liter of. So 44 liters of diesel into the rate of diesel as 95. So my diesel cost for one trip is 4207. For a trip, my cost is coming out to around 4200. Into number of trips per day, that will give me the diesel cost for 1 day. That comes out to 16,829. Into number of days per year to get that 61 lakhs and some odd. Here is the formula for diesel or fuel expense for year 1. Right, toll will remain constant because toll generally increases in a slab of 5 or 10 years. So we'll say that ये 4 साल में toll बढ़ ही नहीं रहा है. Okay, so diesel price is going to increase by 15%. Diesel escalation rate As I said, here two formula you don't complicate. Keep it same as shown earlier. I take decimals, make the change. Okay. Tell me gross profit for year 1 and 4. अब आप बाकी के लाइन आइटम कंप्लीट कीजिए. एवरीथिंग एल्स इज प्रीटी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. 2597 and 4 year 928. Looks good. Proceed ahead. Others check. Yeah, here's the formula for second year bus. Any other formula you need, let me know, or else find and tell me first gross profit and then PAT. While you are finding the income tax, put if condition. Do not calculate interest expense and other income right now. Okay, fill the remaining income statement. I'm going to show the numbers on screen after some time. $750. Year 1, correct. For year 2, yes. 11 lakhs and something for year 4. Maintenance is increasing by 15% year on year. Correct. Correct. Good. Proceed ahead. Tell me the gross profit next. सारे लाइन आइटम कंप्लीट कर दो. अब आप आगे के. Correct. Escalated inflation 10. Correct. Yes. Again 10%. Miscellaneous also going up by inflation rate. Hmm. That is miscellaneous. Correct. I'll also put down the numbers on screen. Match your values. We want to compare till gross profit. Maintenance cost is 10% of the bus. And that is expected to increase at maintenance escalation rate of 50. Correct. And remain constant. Yes, it will remain same. Driver cost 500 per trip into number of trips into number of days. So you can just fix that and then drag it below. Then you keep formula is equal to left for toll. Or you will have to put dollar to all input. Correct. Yeah, other way around you can just keep is equal to last. Or हाँ कंट्रोल आर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपको ये फॉर्मूला इधर ट्रैक करना है, आप सिलेक्ट कर लो और कंट्रोल आर करो. फॉर्मूला कॉपी हो गया. खैर फॉर्मूला ये कॉपीएबल नहीं है. नहीं, इसमें आपको ये सबको डॉलर लगाना पड़ेगा पहले. करेक्ट. एंड देन यू ड्रैग, दैट इज सिलेक्ट ऑल एंड देन कंट्रोल आर. और इन द माउस यू कैन डू इट विथ टचिंग द राइट बॉटम कॉर्नर ऑफ द सेल. ये कर्सर यहाँ पे रख के आप लेफ्ट क्लिक ड्रैग. करेक्ट. 31 for last. Correct. Proceed ahead and find PAT. First and last year's PAT is what you tell me. If condition for tax, do not calculate interest expense. अगर वो डायरेक्ट नहीं कैलकुलेट होगा, अमोर्टाइजिंग डेट है. इफ यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन कि कितना कम होगा क्या होगा, उससे अच्छा है कि शेड्यूल ही बना दो. हियर आर द नंबर्स ऑन स्क्रीन. मैच योर वैल्यूज टू ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट. Okay. Gross profit, is it matching? Everyone? Correct. So fourth year onwards, third, fourth year के आगे profit have started declining because fuel is eating into my revenue growth. Correct. Tell me Pat, year 1 and year 4. No, blank. Abhi. We will, yeah, right now we will keep it blank. We will build the interest calculation, but in part 2. Yeah, you should. You should. Okay, minus the interest expense करना है आपको. Correct. It is 75. 756. Yes. Blank. लोन लिया है लेकिन अभी निकालेंगे नहीं इंटरेस्ट, क्योंकि सेकंड थर्ड फोर्थ ईयर का इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेशन विल बिकम स्लाइटली ट्रिकी. because लोन भी वापस हो रहा है ना इंस्टॉलमेंट के हिसाब से. हाँ, so that we will do in the schedule separate. If formula, yes. Because after adding interest, there is a possibility of a loss. If we did no, last class में वो मॉडल में हमने किया है if condition. Open that, check. File number 3. वो मेल में मैंने वो 3, 4, 5, 6 सारा ही भेजा हुआ. तो उसमें 3 कंप्लीटेड है और 4, 5, 6 ब्लैंक है. Okay, till here, everybody, are we done? Gross profit. Let's do depreciation on 3. Depreciation, you can, what will depreciate? First of all, bus will depreciate. So, divided by life or multiplied by depreciation rate. Either way, you can calculate the depreciation amount. Cost of bus upon life or cost of bus into rate of depreciation. Either way, you should get the amount of depreciation expense. Therefore, gross PBT, the gross profit minus depreciation minus interest. So for now, we'll link the interest and keep. Later, when we find the value of interest, PBT will change. For tax, if there is a profit, then profit into tax rate, else nil. Match your PAT number. Here's the formula of if condition for tax. Yeah. So we are checking if there is a profit, that is profit is more than 0. अगर profit हो रहा है, तो profit into tax rate. Correct. 484 for year 1 and 5,07,000 for the last. Without considering interest, Abhi. So, for the line diagram, we are just done with first part. ये हो गया. Now, before we move on to making the balance sheet and cash flow, the debt schedule will give us couple of line items for making or for completing the income statement and balance. So let us make the debt today. and then we will probably close. Yes, everybody have got the fact clear? Now, let me give you the starting point and then you try to build the debt schedule using that file number 4. इसमें हमने जो amortization schedule अभी बनाया था, same you will be making, right? Opening date, installment, interest, closing date. Opening date, interest, installment, closing date. EAI stands for equal annual installment. BOP is beginning of period. EOP, the end of. Now, why are we taking debt in this business? हम लोन क्यों ले रहे हैं इस बिजनेस में? क्योंकि शुरुआत में बस खरीदना है. So how much debt are we taking in year 0, which is the starting point when you acquire the bus? 75%. 75% of the financing was done in the form of debt. Cost of bus was 75 lakhs. So this is the starting point. 0 year में जब आपने बस खरीदा तब आपके पास डेट कितना है? 75 lakhs का 75%. 56 lakhs 25,000 is the starting. Debt is to be repaid in 4 equal annual installments. Rate of interest is 10%. Use all the other data and complete the schedule. Tell me EOP debt for next year कितना है? आप कैलकुलेट करो और मुझे फर्स्ट ईयर का EOP debt बताओ. How are you going to build it? Refer back to that amortization schedule. End of period, closing balance, opening balance BOP, closing balance EOP, end of period, beginning of period. How much is year 1 EOP debt? That you take. Year 0 EOP I have shown. 0 year ka ending will become first year ka beginning. If you build it like that, then you will be able to copy it for all the 4 years. मतलब वापस फॉर्मूला नहीं बनाना पड़ेगा अगले ईयर्स के. बॉटम वैल्यू करेक्ट. इंटरेस्ट होएगा PMT करेक्ट. रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट दिया है ऊपर करेक्ट. लिंक एवरीथिंग. यूज डॉलर साइन फॉर रिक्वायर्ड. कंफ्यूजन हो गया तो रेफर बैक टू आवर amortization example that we have created. So whatever we want to build, okay, उसका theory छोटा छोटा example में हम देख के बना के रखेंगे so that you have references with you. Compounding period, payments at hand, 4 साल का है debt. 4 year is the useful life of the bus, so the loan cannot extend beyond the life. कितना लोन हमने लिया? करेक्ट. EV present value. Correct. 0 in this case because end of period installment चल रहा है. Beginning of period installment होता तो 1, end of period installment में. Correct. 17 lakhs. Correct. That is why the E equal is the installment. Correct. Yes, and that will remain same for all the years. So how much is the ending date for year 1? For year 1 इतना नहीं रिपे हो रहा है. नहीं, ending date, EOP date for year 1. नहीं, उस हिसाब से 0 नहीं होगा डेट पीरियड में. फोर्थ ईयर में EOP हैज टू बिकम 0. दैट इज अ वैलिडेशन. मतलब वो चेक हो जाएगा कि हमने सही किया है ना. देखिए 4412 करेक्ट. 44 lakhs इज करेक्ट. उसमें इंटरेस्ट भी ऐड करना है. प्रोबेबली यू डिड BOP माइनस EAI, बट EAI में प्रिंसिपल और इंटरेस्ट दोनों है. तो जस्ट सम ऑल 3, तीनों को ऐड कर दीजिए. Correct, 12 lakhs, yes. 44 lakhs and something, correct. GOP. AI has become sorry, EOP debt for last year is 0. ये वाला लोन 0 हो जाना चाहिए. This last number should be nil. Yeah. Principal is opening minus closing. 12 lakhs something for first year. Correct. 12 lakhs is correct. Last EOP 0 हो गया क्या? डॉलर्स डालो बीच में बराबर. एंडिंग में 0 हो जाता है. करेक्ट. उसका बाद एक लास्ट स्टेप, इंटरेस्ट को उठा के वापस इनकम स्टेटमेंट में डाल देना है. एंड देन वी स्टॉप. तो पैट विल चेंज अगेन. That's why we kept it blank. नहीं AI तो प्रिंसिपल, हाँ वो ब्रेकअप निकालने में you can do it there also, but the formula will become little complicated. Yes, link कर दो आप बस उधर. Done. For second year, start. Right. On that. Installments earned 17 lakh same. So add on. Which one? Ending date. Ending date. For fourth year. And first year? First year का लॉस हो रहा है क्या? नहीं, लॉस नहीं हो रहा है. ठीक है, तो इफ कंडीशन उतना यूजफुल नहीं है. नहीं, वो फॉर्मूला में गड़बड़ होगी. सो हियर ऑन स्क्रीन वी विल डू इट. POP is same as last POP. Just check first year's formula. Year one formula I am showing on screen for the date schedule. POP for current year is EOP for last. Then interest is expect 10%. 10% we will fix. We will fix the rate because rate is not going to change for all the years. Opening date का 10% आपको interest देना पड़ेगा. Then EAI we will calculate using PMT. Rate of interest, we'll take it from about 10%. Number of years, also we'll take it from about 4. And loan taken 56 lakhs. Fix all three inputs. तीनों को आप डॉलर साइन लगाइए. तीनों को डॉलर साइन लगाइए. Then ending date is add on. POP plus interest plus EI. EI is already negative, so it will get cancelled out. And repaid principal is opening loan minus closing loan. Once you drag this, last balance will become nil. फोर्थ ईयर के एंड में बिजनेस ही बंद हो रहा है, तो बैंक का कोई लोन आउटस्टैंडिंग नहीं होगा. ये बिलो वन ऐड प्लस ही करना है सारा, क्योंकि वो एक नंबर निगेटिव है तो वो अपने आप ये आए. रेट 10% फिक्स, नंबर ऑफ ईयर 4 फिक्स, एंड लोन अमाउंट 56 lakhs फिक्स. L46 को डॉलर लगाना जरूरी है, अदरवाइज वो हर बार लोन चेंज होएगा और EAI में से E वायलेट हो जाएगा. Okay, and last step, this interest will now go back into the income statement. Remember, income statement में interest we had kept blank, don't copy paste, link it is equal to that cell. अगर copy paste करेंगे तो formula copy paste होता है, तो link कर देना है. And the first year's PAT will go down to 1 lakh, last year's is 3 lakh 99,000. So we are halfway through. The next step we want to do is balance sheet cash flow. First time we will be making the balance sheet, so I will do it with you. मैं asset side आपको दिखा दूंगा, liabilities आप करना. Similarly, we will do the cash flow and then we will proceed. So next time first we will complete this model and then start with project financing. Okay, so we will try to see कि project financing में इसके अलावा क्या होता है. Then we will also have a look at taxation and then we will build an entire full model case. Okay, so let's stop here. And share these files on the mail and then we will okay, thank you. Sorry? Tomorrow? Tomorrow night, next Friday. Okay, so let's stop.